You hit it. Hit
Engage.
it.
I hit it.
Engage.
Don't
Let's go
end
live.
it.
No more
Hey,
swears, Chuck.
We're live.
Chuck's
We're live.
fireman mouth.
I wasn't
on that guy.
swearing.
Fireman mouth.
Don't turn it off.
whatever. Yeah, well, thanks for joining us, everybody. We're gonna have a fun show tonight. We got John Kruk from Yaesu, and tonight we're going to talk about Yaesu.
He's
He's
from
from Wisconsin.
Chuck.
He just told us about more men or men. Oh, never mind. We won't bring that part up.
Yeah.
Something about sheep. I don't know. We're going to talk about.
I told you that in confidence. I thought we were in the safety circle.
I did. I said the sheep are outside of my house here. They're eating the weeds right now. So Yaesu has brought out how many? Well, it's weird because you guys brought out 3 radios, but 2 versions of one radio. I know for sure, but they're basically the same outside of the ASP, right? So how many radios? 3 radios,
sort of,
right?
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
3. Well, 1 new, 3 updated. How about that?
1 new, 3 updated. Okay.
Yes.
We're live, it says. Well, first of all, Mr. Ape, the smoking ape, what are you up to these days?
Nothing. I was going to put my 500 in my
Jim, what are you? Oh,
but I was having a hard time finding it. It took me 2 days to find it.
Did you find the microphone yet?
No, so microphone's still missing in action. So I'm wondering, can I use my microphone for my 7900 on my 500?
You can.
Oh, really?
You can, yes. See, that's how easy we make it for you. I don't want to make it hard. But then see,
there you go.
The problem is you're going old school though. You're going for the old school.
Yeah.
You know,
well, I'll put the
style.
new school in there when I find it. But
we know a place you can get one.
Well, I'm sure I got one in the house somewhere, and then I got this in the
Whoa!
Whoa! You almost poked Jim and I with that thing.
But I don't
calm
think
down.
this might be the same one as the Chameleon. This is the alpha antennas, but I
Chameleon
don't know
doesn't
if
make
it is
that size.
because this is not a fixed, and I don't like that because that means I will lose.
Chameleon makes a 25-footer, not a 34-footer.
Chameleon had a 35-footer, I think, at the show, didn't they?
I don't think so. I think it was
Yes,
the one you have.
they did.
They do.
No.
Howdy, Bob. Thank you for being a
But
member
anyhow,
for 34 months.
This new Hickus does not.
Ask Bob. He's the Chameleon guy. He would know. Put it in the chart if they make a
I think
34.
we do. And then it's got Tree 8's 24 on here. So
Tree 8s,
Tree
like it
8's.
should, just like it should.
not Tree 50.
Yeah, and then Chuck and I are working on a little something where we're going to
Something.
make a Poseidon out of this thing.
Oh boy.
We're gonna do what? What are we doing? Oh yeah,
We're making a
No, no.
Poseidon out of that thing. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Just
Yeah,
going
it's
to
a little
duct
big
tape
for
the
that.
toroid to the side of it, or
Yeah,
No,
we'll tell you when we get it worked out.
I would tell you, but some YouTuber would try to steal the idea and attempt to build a crappy clone of it.
Yeah,
yeah.
and I haven't actually built it yet, so I have, but not the way we're gonna offer it. How's that,
Hollywood up in the house.
Yeah, he's been
James? What have you been doing, Mister WT1W?
A lot of POTA hunting the last few days.
Oh yeah. With what? How are you doing that? And how much power?
About a gallon with my Mercury amp, and then I switched. The Mercury's on a Rapide, a DX Commander Rapide, and then I switched to 40, so I moved over to the Flex on the DX Commander Classic because it does 40.
Will that amp key 27 megahertz?
I have not tried that because I haven't drank Miller Lite, so I don't know. I don't know.
You haven't tried it yet.
I have not tried.
Well, that's another
I
way.
ain't been into Miller Lite, so I don't know.
That would have been test number 1.
Yeah, for you,
Oh,
I know it would have
Hey,
been.
check this out, Ape. You can say it now. Chuck was right.
Chuck was
Well, I'm
right.
saying Bob was right. Thank you, Bob. Very helpful as always.
And I got my stainless steel whip today, the same one that
Mine's
Abe's got.
coming tomorrow.
Then I've got a GMRS radio to play with, and yet another POC radio to play with.
Oh, you like those, don't you?
You
So
know,
they're better than cell phones.
I never have said that. I said it's a better deal than cell phones.
Oh
in
yeah,
a
for your
limited
kids.
fashion. Well, yeah, for an emergency backup thing, it's cheap. I mean, you're looking
Like that when it was called
$30.
Nextel.
So,
Yeah.
We are showing
Yeah,
our age
exactly.
that we all know what that means, Crook. Some of these
Yeah.
youngins out there probably never heard of no Nextel.
Yeah, true. We're going to throw a word out there, PMR. See what if people understand. PMR or
Oh
SMR.
man.
Yeah.
IDEN, John, IDEN.
VSLEP.
We had Southern
Oh man,
Link
these
down
guys are gonna go
here
forever.
that was another IDEN system. I think they still use it. That the Southern Company's power company conglomerate uses.
They did. I remember because going down in Huntsville, I remember we took our shuttle one time and someone had a Southern Link radio. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yep. The only other IDEN I know of, and I think it's still in operation. I don't know, but
Yeah. Good times.
All right. So I'm looking for my little
right.
Dodge Dakota. I did that little bracket the other day for the back of the for my antenna, and I put in I asked people to put in the comments of what radio maybe I should look at, and Yaesu came up quite a bit. So, and I don't really want to. I've got a 500. I don't really want to spend the money for digital and APRS because I really don't use it. I really don't, when I'm out, I don't want people knowing where I'm at, really, tell you the truth. If it was just the wife, it'd be one thing. If I could just make it go to her. But so John, tell us,
get a POC.
why don't you just, there you go. Tell us all the new models, and then we'll go one by one, starting with, I'll tell you later.
Sure. So we okay, if you go back, picture this like Sophia said on the Golden Girls. Now I'm really dating everybody there. Okay.
Geezer.
Yeah. What? No, so what happened was we released a lot of the radios through COVID and everything like that on there. And we wanted to do how do you want to say successor to the 400. And the successor to the 400 was obviously the 500. And we had a lot of people that went along and said, hey, we like your 500, but for analog, it just doesn't cut mustard for me. And we were like, okay, yeah, I guess I can kind of see that.
What was the complaint about the analog side of the 500?
Yeah.
People felt that it was very biased towards digital. They said that it receives great in digital, but they felt it didn't really receive well in analog. And we were kind of like, okay, it's got a good receiver on there. But what a lot of people started to tell us was, they said, you know what, though, it has a good receiver on there, but there's times where I'm trying to use it as weak signal and it just isn't cutting the mustard. And they said, you guys added on that SDX feature, which basically, and we're going to talk the 10,000 foot view here tonight. I just want to clarify that because it always seems like you say something and then they're like, well, it's not right technically. Well, we're at the 10,000 foot view tonight. So what we did is on the 500, we had the SDX feature, which basically didn't reduce your squelch, but helped increase receiver sensitivity. And if anybody knows the difference, there is a difference between squelch level settings and receiver sensitivity. So we had the SDX on there, but what people were saying is that they were able to pull with the SDX, they were able to pull the signal in a lot better, but they said the audio would suffer. And they said the audio wasn't that great because it's a weak signal to get it. Yeah, we got it in there. So we kind of looked at that, kind of looked at the drawing board. A lot of people said, I wanted an analog only dual band, dual display radio. Because at the time, all we had was the 6000 out there. And a lot of people said it's dual band, but mono display. You can't do crossband. You can't do this, can't do this, can't do this. So they said, Yaesu, get it together. And we like, okay, well, let's get it together. Okay. So what we did is we said, okay, let's take the 510 or at 500 and let's see how we can improve analog. But while we also did at the same time, we said, let's see what we can do with a dual band, dual receive analog radio. And that's where we came out with the FTM 150, which is this one that I have right here. Dual band, dual display, mobile, compact, using the same design and style that the 500 series, and kind of if you look, the mounting brackets and everything like that did for the 200 and 300. But what we did is we knew that a lot of people wanted to have superior audio quality for receiving. So we added this thing called ASP. Now, what ASP says is that it actually means Advanced Digital Signal Processor or Audio Signal Processing. And what it really is, once again, 10,000 foot view, is kind of applying DNR and DNF technology, the HF world, to a VHF or UHF FM signal. So what we did is now we could say, hey, you got a weak signal, you got a weak audio coming in. Now you can go ahead and use this ASP functionality in there with this SDX function that will drop the receive sensitivity, pulls that signal in, but now we need to clean up that signal to make it a heck of a lot better. So we said, let's do that on the FTM 150. That was the new one coming out. But then we said, why not apply that same audio processing to the 510, which was going to have to be the new model because we couldn't add it to the 500. That's what a lot of people think. They're like, oh, okay, hey, here's the deal. You just went along and you just wanted a resell radio, da-da-da-da. No, there was no way to integrate this board, which I have what the board actually looks like here in a minute. But there was no way to put it into the 500. So we did a redesign. That's became the 510. But also, too, is we wanted radio. Yeah, see, well, you got to buy a new radio. That's
damn it, John.
I know. But as Billy May says, wait, there's more. Oh. So what we did is we said a lot of people were doing the 2980 and the 3100 at that time for analog operations. And I won't necessarily say it this way, but there may have been people that were not quite using the radio for amateur purposes, just like when you Mars mod an HF radio, you maybe talk on a certain band that we just talked about. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what people wanted to do is they said, hey, we want a radio. A lot of people, a lot of off-roaders, a lot of uplanders, a lot of people. Chuck. We're saying, hey, why can't we get this into the lower tier mobiles? I have no need for UHF for whatever purposes. And then that's where we came out with I got radios here everywhere.
Do you have them all? You have them all?
I do have them all. So did anybody ever remember the movie? What was the movie with American Beauty where he's laying on the bed with the flowers or she's laying on the bed with flowers? I do that with radios. Anyways,
I was a little concerned when you said he's laying on the bed with flowers. I was
she was in the movie, but anyways,
whatever.
But then we did the 3185, which now gave you 85 watts, but added the ASP technology in there. And then
that was 2 meters, right?
Is that
that's 2 meters only? Yep.
2 meters. Okay.
Yep. But then we also give you the 3165, which is 2 meters only, but also adds the ASP technology. Now, a lot of people, front firing on there, bottom firing on this one. But what a lot of people liked about this was now not only did we have a great receive sensitivity and an ASP into it, but do the math. 85 watts with the 5/8 wave antenna, you're going to get about 100 watts out of this baby. So we really said, let's focus on the analog line of things because analog users are there. There's not just digital users. We didn't want to just focus on digital users. While we do have digital equipment, we still support digital equipment. There's a lot of analog activity that goes on. Example, 150, 510, both can actually do true dual band, cross band repeating and simultaneous. So you can actually have it as full duplex. So you can do satellite work with these. Now, ASP is not going to necessarily work the best with that on there, but it does give you those options for the analog users that still want to do fun stuff.
What's the difference between the 510 and the 150?
So the 150 is just straight FM only, but it is dual band. And you don't have no APRS, no nothing. It's just straight up analog only radio on there.
Okay.
Well, see, I would have bought that 150 instead of the 500 because I'm one of those guys that just wants analog. I don't want to mess with digital. The problem is that a lot of the repeaters in my area are now YSF. Digital. So I was going to put we talked about it, the 500 in my car, my Jeep, and I lost everything. But now that I found the body of it, I'm a mess over here. I can put it in and use my old microphone. But John, I want to hit you real quick while you're holding that thing.
Yeah.
On the back of that is a data port, right?
Correct.
Hang on. Let me plus him up.
We're going to plus you up, son.
Solo John.
Whoop, right there.
And then there's an EXT port on there as well.
Correct. That's for the speaker, which is right there. So
there's two of them.
Yeah. Well, one is not on there. Now, the reason being is because with the 150, much like the 500, you have a speaker down here, and then you also have a speaker here.
Oh, okay.
So you actually do have the dual speakers, and that was another thing on there too. You can separate the head, and look, you got a mic jack on there. You
on
got
the
a speaker
head.
on the front, on the head, yes. SD card on the head. You could just buy the cable for the extension cable, which Does not come with it. And there's a reason why I'll explain in a minute there. But then you can basically mount this wherever, tuck this totally away underneath the seat, and you're going to be able to go ahead and use it without an issue.
What's retail on the 150?
350.
We got we got a special going on.
349.
So there's two versions out there.
Oh,
the two versions deal with this little baby right here. There is the ASP version. So it's in America, North America, we call it the R versions. That's what the radio is. That means
RASP.
It's the North American
That's the RASP one.
Yep, that's what a lot of people call the RASP. And then there is
that's 349.
R version. Yep, that's 349. And then there is the the non-ASP version. So this is the ASP board. I mean, it looks like a little thing from a Bond movie or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it literally just has kind of like that JTAG connector. You literally open the top of these radios if you don't have it. So if you buy the non-ASP version, open this up, push that chip right in there, and boom, now this is an ASP version.
And just for information, if you are buying it right now and you do want that, buy it with it because it's cheaper. I don't know if the sale goes off, if it is then, because that chip is like $60.
Yeah, it's like $60 if you buy it separately, but I think you knock off like $10 or $20 if you buy it pre-installed in the radio right away.
It's $50 difference right now.
But the thing is, like, when you talk about the 500 and the 510 and the ASP being the difference essentially in those radios, I mean, you really do have to be hunting weak UHF and VHF signals, right? For your average redneck that's riding around talking to his buddies, you're fine with the 500, right?
Yeah, you are, but here's the interesting part about the 510. We actually did a video, and it's on our YouTube channel. I was trying to pull the video down to be able to kind of show it tonight, or not a YouTube channel. Oh no, maybe it is on our YouTube channel, Yaesu USA Official. I know it was on our Facebook thing where we actually did a test in our office in California. And what we did is we just basically stuck a magnet mount antenna on the filing cabinet. We kind of tuned in the Catalina repeater. Now, there's a joke because it's Catalina wine mixer. So that's why we always use the Catalina repeater in some of our videos. But what we did in that case is we had it on there. It's totally scratchy, totally like coming in. There was a lot of bacon frying on there. Mm-hmm. The minute you went along and hit that SDX and the ASP functionality, right away, boom, it cleaned it up. It just made it like a crystal clear, solid signal without any issue whatsoever. Like it just
there's amazing. 2 buttons to hit. There's 2 buttons to hit.
Well, I'll show you. Let me show you my 500 here, or 510, I should say.
I have to say, I saw something pretty amazing
so I'm
today.
Thinking I'm getting
I'm saving it for a video though.
So this is my 510 that I have. This is I got it in travel mode here because I got the bracket for it because I'm going to be going to Huntsville on there. But if you notice that there on the top here, there's this SDX button right there. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look up in, and I'll try to do it now, yes, there's public safety frequencies in there because I'll be honest with you, this is what I use a lot to receive those analog signals on there when there's like fire ground, fire tacticals, and I can't quite receive it that well at the house here. I will use this on there. But if you push it once, you're going to notice right above the tone, and kind of, I'm sorry if my camera's kind of doing there, but if you push it once, you see how it says SDX right there? Kind of, it's blurry there. I apologize.
Yeah.
And then if you push it again, it says ASP. So what ends up happening is that actually someone's talking on it right now.
You just suck that signal right in.
Yep.
I'll be roll command away.
Now there it is. If I was to go ahead and take it off ASP and turn it up there, then you kind of hear a little bit of a bacon frying.
How's that thing connected?
It's like Dolby noise reduction. That's way different.
Did you hear the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's really what the ASP is on there. It's advanced
How is that
signal
powered
processing.
up? I don't see a wire coming off of that thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like, man, who is it?
Yep. Now this is what I kind of said about the kind of the example I wanted to say why we don't include a lot of stuff in the kit there, because normally the radio comes like this with the 150 where you have the head attached. You do have a little bit of an extension cable. You can if you wanted to put in a go box or something like that on there, but really there's multiple ways to do this. So you can have that there. You can buy the extension cable that we sell for it. There's a 10-foot and a 20-foot one. And then you can also buy this bracket that I can actually, with that shorter cable that came with it. This is the SMJK 500, I think it is, that actually would mount on top of your radio here. And then it lets you spin the head completely in any way you need to. So like when I actually do travel with this radio, like I'm going to for Huntsville, I could take and put it in between the seat of the rental car. The radio's like this, but I can take the head and tune it and angle it like that.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yep.
And that does come with a bracket too, right? I mean,
Yes, we include the mounting hardware, not separation,
brackets?
mounting. It just has the one slide lock bracket.
The U bracket or whatever you'd put on a dash.
It has that one.
No, it does. So that is part of the extension kit, depending on what you want to buy. Because once again, you can buy the bracket that well, here.
Well, I mean, because what I'm asking, I'll make sure.
Bracket.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Well, I'm just saying for the head you have the standard mounting screw that's on there, and then you can buy. Yeah, well, it's standard
screw.
It's 5 millimeters, right?
Is that what it is?
4 or
That's
5.
a standard.
Yeah.
It's a standard Yaesu one. I think it is a 4 millimeter now that I think it is
5. I think it's
5. Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Whatever.
My quarter 20s wouldn't fit, and I was getting all.
Yeah,
So I had to order
John. In
Yeah.
this country, quarter
Yep.
20 is standard.
Yeah.
A quarter 20. Okay, well, for Yaesu land, where I'm at,
So
our standard.
So
I have a bunch of these
another.
Rams in my Jeep, so I ordered the Lido makes a specific one in five whatevers.
Yeah, that's what I've
Well,
got.
they make
My
a
500 head is mounted on. Go get yours, Chuck. John.
So Jim, let me just say, it does come with the same bracket the 500 came with, the sliding bracket. That's what you asked, I think, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to verify if I bought a 150, could I mount it to something in my truck, or does it have to just sit on the damn seat until I order extra parts?
No, we give you the base mounting bracket too. It's a slide-on bracket. So we went to that design instead of the screws because now you can mount it there. So it slides in, locks it. We give you that bracket with it. We give you the screws and the necessary mounting.
So I could mount it to a vehicle out of the box, unlike another radio that I'm still salty about.
So is it the same? Is it the same actual bracket as the 500? You already have the 500 in there.
Correct.
Right?
It's the same bracket as the 200, 300, 500, 510, 150. Those are all the same mounting brackets on there. All the same.
That's awesome that you're using the same tooling on all that stuff.
Because here's my
weird. That's a weird concept, though. I mean, for radio manufacturers.
So here's my 200. Same design, same bracket, everything that just slides right in underneath the desk right here, and it just boom.
Well, that's the next question I have, and since you mentioned it, what the hell's the difference between the 200 and the 300 versus the 150? The 150 is newer than those two, right?
Correct. The biggest thing with the 200 and 300, they were designed for digital and APRS combined in there. So you have a GPS in them. You have the ability to do APRS. You have the ability to do Yaesu System Fusion, C4 FM.
Okay.
And then the 200 and 300, the 200 was a single receiver. The 300 was a dual receiver on there. So you could actually do true full duplex as well as crossband repeat.
Okay.
Like I said, the 150 was a demand by a customer saying, hey, remember how you had the 8800, the 8900? Yeah, we remember that. They said, why don't you come back out with that? And then that's where we came, like I said, on the design of the 150 here. You have a left side, you have a right side, volume and channel selection here, volume and channel selection here. The same controls kind of on there. And then you sort of have, for argument's sake, you sort of have a main and a sub kind of design on it.
Okay.
That's the one to get, though, Jim, I think.
I may order it while he's here on the show.
You can just use that same Lido mount from your 500. And then
I'm going to keep the 500. So the 500's got APRS and Toad's digital on it.
So now you're going to be rolling two Yaesus.
I've been rolling a Yaesu and a Kenwood, but it's an older Kenwood. And then I've got my Kenwood's got VHF Call and All-Star on it.
So John, why don't be a bro? And I offered this radio to Chuck for $200, and this is a Juntai 6188. It's 25 watts output, but it transmits on 3 channels at the same time, 3 frequencies at the same time. So it's really a 75-watt radio.
That is gold.
Oh yeah, I would give you 300 for that. It's one for each.
I'm not going to take it out of Chuck's hands. I mean, I will totally Chuck, that is all yours, baby.
So John,
And it
John,
came with CD-ROM.
let's talk about the two dual bands, the 510 and the 150.
Mhm.
They're both dual bands. They're both cross band repeat, right?
Correct.
Full duplex.
Full duplex. Yep. VHF to UHF.
Both have removable faces.
Correct.
You can do a cord, but you have to buy the cord if you want it longer than 6 inches.
Correct. And like I said, it's so hard because of the, and that was where I was going to say down there, a lot of people saying, back with the 7800, 79, 89s, with the 100, all those, you included it on there. Well, yeah, you really only had two states. You had to the body or you had remote mount. Well, now you have to the body, you have remote mount, you have the extended bracket on there, you have a whole bunch of different accessories on there. So that's why we were like, instead of throwing all these accessories that you're not going to use on there, why don't we just go ahead? If you want to make an extension cable, just buy our extension cable on there. And then, like Jim and saying like, hey, I got the mount already for it. Or Abe was saying, I got the mount for it. I don't give a crap what the Yaesu mount is. Just give me the cable. Let's be done and move on.
So they both have the mounts. Now, I know the 150 has two different mic mounts. Does the 510 also?
Yep, 510 and 150 both allow for microphone mounting onto the side, or if you open it up, you kind of do where the head is open there. You have the standard. It's kind of bad lighting. There you go.
Yeah.
You kind of see it plugs right into there, and you can do it that way. Now, with the options, you could, if you want to, actually add the Bluetooth microphone or Bluetooth option to these radios. So
Somebody
if you do
had
the
that
Bluetooth
question. Is there a Bluetooth mic for that, since you mentioned that?
Yes, there is a Bluetooth mic for it. Well, and I'll put it straight up honestly this way. We use a basic Bluetooth protocol. It's not anything spectacular, special, anything. It's just audio on there. We can use the Yaesu headset that we sell, which is the SMBT 20, I think it is now, on there. Or for me, I used to have a Parrot Bluetooth headset that I use, or I actually upgraded for a lot of the meetings. I don't know if people have heard of them, the Shocks headsets, where they're the bone conduction headsets. Well, Shocks, they make a Shocks OpenCom 1, so you actually have a little bit of a microphone that comes down for like if you're doing meetings or presentations. That Bluetooth's right to it there. And when you have that Bluetooth board in there, you can either turn it on Vox and use the microphone mute on there, or you can just go ahead and manually PTT it with the button on there.
Jim's ordering it right now. Well, he's doing that.
He's at least writing it down. I saw.
I want to ask John another question about the data port on the 150.
Yes, love it.
What data is coming in and out of there? Because there's no internal TNC, right? So it's really not data. It's really an audio port with PTT. Is that
correct?
Fair?
That is very fair to say. So what we have on the back of that port, it's the same port, believe it or not, that are on all of our 10-pin stuff. So the 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 510, FTM 6000, FTM 150 now, the 510. They're all the same data ports on there. So literally pins 1 through 6 are the same pinouts and configurations of functionality like the old 6-pin mini DIN datas were. 7, 8, 9, and 10 are used for data purposes. So if you have like the 500 or the 510, that's used for like fusion control and stuff like that on there. If you're using it for programming or firmware updating, that's going to use 7, 8, 9, and 10 because those are strictly data control pins.
And so you would just use that with like with a Mobi-Link or with like a DigiRig or something like that if you wanted to do digital.
Yep, exactly. And I do it on mine. I use my data ports for two purposes. One, I like POXAG. I play with POXAG. I think POXAG is going to be the next way if I can ever get the
90s are calling, Kruk.
Nerd.
You know what, though? Here's the deal, man. I like APRS. Don't get me wrong, but the problem I have with APRS is you have to have another APRS radio to receive the packets, where with POXAG, you don't.
I know.
It's another episode. I'll come back.
I still got mine. I still got one. It's in my sock drawer.
Exactly. You can wear it. Like, what kind of cool event would you be? Hey, where's the people at? Oh, wait, hey, I just got a page. Here's where he's at. But once again, that's a different episode.
I don't want to per se use APRS because I'm not a nerd. But
okay, whatever, pumpkin.
You're
going to hell for that lie.
After that last thing you just bought, man.
You're going to hell for that lie, Ape.
Whatever. But I do want to have the ability to use things like WinLink or something like that. Or
yes, you can use. People have used it for WinLink. I actually use mine in a different configuration, which really blows some people's minds when they find out. I use either I go get a data radio, the little tiny data radios, made by numerous little different companies. We don't as Yaesu make it, but I actually have some of the old, when we were Vertex back in the day, we used to sell a 5-watt mobile repeater, and like I will interface that into the data port on my Fusion radio. And what I do is I do it in the car, because so when like you're in crossband repeat with the 510 as an example, our Fusion protocols is the same. Basically, it's the same thing like P25, but we didn't make it compatible with P25 because you know how people would do that, right? Mm-hmm. So what we did is we use it as a high quality voice thing. But one of the things we find out we can't do is we don't do to repeat a repeater. So you can't have a Fusion repeater repeat a repeater, because it's like taking a picture, making a copy, then taking that copy and making a copy of the copy of the copy, right? It's going to deteriorate over there.
Like
so
MFJ instructions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Or any other ones out there now. But what we did is, and Jim will like this one, sometimes I'm carrying my public safety radio, right? And that can do amateur stuff, parking down an amateur band. But the issue I run into with it is that if I want to talk on the Fusion repeater, or I want to talk into my Fusion network or something like that, I can't with my handheld. But having it set up that the audio comes in and out of that data port, all I simply do is set the mobile to the Fusion repeater, and then I have actually a VHF and a UHF one. So if I'm on my UHF Fusion repeater, I use the VHF in my car. Now I use my public safety handheld in the amateur bands. I want to clarify that. On VHF simplex that goes to the mobile repeater. Then it goes ahead and comes out on Fusion on the other side. So it's totally a linkable system on there. So I have the best of all worlds.
I just Mars modded my 400 when I got it initially, and
son, you don't want to be saying that stuff on air.
I don't care. I tuned the fire department frequency to it, so I had a fire department radio in my truck and my handheld.
Yeah, I just got tired of you go somewhere with the family or something, you got all the radios in the truck, but then if you're away from the truck or something, you're like, oh, I want to talk Fusion. Well, I had to bring my Fusion handheld, or oh, wait a minute, I don't have my Fusion handheld.
I see what you. That's some fanciness there, Kruk.
Oh yeah,
that is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There was a kid in the Discord way back in the day, and he would carry 2 different Motorola radios everywhere he went because they were on different.
Are you talking about Ginger Shane like that? That's
no,
Ginger
it wasn't
Shane.
Ginger Shane. But I was like, but this guy didn't have any affiliation with any legitimate organization, and he carried 2 Motorola HTs with him everywhere.
Oh, that's ham sexy whacker mode there.
100%.
Look
The
at
big
that.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Jody, thank you for the $5
Thanks, Jody.
Canadian super chat.
Thank you, Jody.
Why is it for Chuck's 150 fund? He ain't gonna buy one. I'm about ready to pull the trigger right now.
About and did is 2 different things, son.
I done showed you the checkout screen.
All right. So these also have the 150. Both of them have micro SD cards, right? So if you're doing satellites, you can record all that stuff. You don't have
correct.
To
so it does have on the side there. It does have a standard SD card on there. We do offer the recording on there. The cards are only designed to take a 32 gigabyte, and the reason being is that in the scheme of things, what the radio memory takes up, what the GPS logging takes up, is just so minuscule that you don't need a big card. And I know some people complain. It's like, well, it's hard to find these cards. I know some of the amateur dealers, Yaesu dealers, they sell the cards that are out there. I go to Micro Center all the time, or even if you can find good cards on there. Yeah, it's really easy to do, and in the scheme of things, you won't really go ahead and use them up. Now, here's the other cool part about it: when you go and, like, for example, I have the 150, I have the 510, I have the FT5. What I actually did, and you could do this on the SD cards, they don't use the same programming. That's why you have to have different programming, or it saves it in a different programming file. So if you have like RT systems, right? You can use the different software for each of them, but you can transfer stuff through there. You can take and put the profile of a 510 on a SD card. Take that SD card, it has room, put what you got for a profile of the FTM 150, and then the 5, and you just switch it around, and the radio will only read that profile.
I did that with 400 and the 500.
Yeah,
absolutely same thing.
Yeah,
yep.
And it's that easy. It's that simple. Then if you use RT systems, you're just putting the one card in and you're doing it. Or like I use the ADMS software for our stuff on there. Same thing. I just put the one SD card in. I open up the different programs, change it, swap it over. It's all that easy.
Frankly, the most cutting edge thing that I've been thrilled with my 500 is that you guys put the mic connector on the head.
Yep.
It's like that on the 7900. That's one of the reasons why I bought it.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I've never had a 7900. On the 400, the mic connector's on the base.
That's like a 12-year-old radio. Like this, the 7900.
Yeah. They didn't do it with the 400.
So no programming cables, right? Come with
No, there is. So you can use the SCU. I got to remember this one here. 56. The SCU 56 is the same thing used for Wires X cable. That is also the programming cable if you want to go old school and connect it to the computer and do that. Otherwise, the SD card works.
Do the SD card. It makes it a million times easier.
Jim, did Jody just call you fat? Oh, no, he's talking about something else. Never mind.
He can call me fat. I'm 80 pounds lighter than I was the last time I met him. So
that's a protocol or something. I forget what that is. Something else. I thought it was
that's a file system, Chuck. Yeah.
It's a file allocation table. It's not a file system.
All right.
File system
it is a file system.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Timeout timers, right? Both of them?
Yeah.
We're still in the dual bands, guys.
Yep. They still have the dual band on there. One of the things that we do suggest, and we really caution a lot of people on too, is that if you're running in crossband repeat, because what this has also opened up to is with our repeaters, we have a lot of people doing what some people call poor man receiver sites. So what you do is you go and take like our DR2X repeater, for an example, you set it up on, let's say, the VHF repeater, right? On the B side of that repeater, you plug in a UHF frequency, but then in the repeater, you set it up to transmit out on the A side frequency, which is your VHF. Now you go run somewhere, put up your FTM 150, receives on the VHF input of the repeater, different tone of some sort. Then it receives and transits on the UHF on the FTM 150. The DR2X UHF side receives it, and then it transits out on VHF. The user doesn't know. All they know is, oh, channel 1, I'm using, let's say, a CTCSS of 110.9 for receive and transmit. But if I know I want to use this side, maybe I transmit with a DCS tone of 411, but I still receive on 110.9. So having these types of radios that can do crossband repeat like that really opens up to like an MCOM situation, split site repeater systems, all these kind of things. But they're not meant to be like, put a brick on the PTT and just let it cook.
Right.
So the thing that'll work with my Baofeng repeater that I put together.
It may pose some arguments to why it's talking to a Baofeng, but yes, it will.
We got some questions queued up. Quick one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Will the FT M100s take the same SD card or not?
Yes. Yep. So all the same SD cards work on there. And once again, you can put the profile on there. Just remember, once again, SD card, max 32 gigs. And it doesn't need to be the super read write speeds that right, everybody does. Everybody gets like these XHD classes that are great for your cameras, right? If you need your cameras, cell phones, MP3 players, whatever you need to do, get a high speed card. But this literally, as I kind of joked around to Ham here in Minnesota, I said, I like going to Micro Center. They said, why? I said, because when I go to the checkout thing, they got all these like trays of USB sticks, USB-A sticks, and little SD cards. And there's like always 16 gigabytes and 32 gigabytes, these slow cards for like $2.99. And I was like,
$6 for a PM.
Yeah, I'll just buy like a handful of them.
Is that the slow one, Ape, or the fast ones that you?
It's a medium one. It's not the slow ones, but like I just load up on SD cards at every Amazon Prime Day because I constantly am using them and going through them.
Or lose them.
You can buy the 32s. They'll sell like packs of 8 of them for like $40.
Yeah. We have one of our viewers is blind, Shane, and his channel is Adventures in Blind Videography. He's asking.
That's messed up that you called him a viewer, though, Jim.
Well, a listener. Shane, I apologize for my insensitive bullshit.
My God.
And for Ape,
man.
I don't think I can be on a show anymore. I'm going to have to leave.
Right. I'll be canceled.
Yeah.
Thank God Thursday nights will be open. Shane's asking, will you have some support for blind operators. And Shane is an admitted Yaesu fanboy. I mean,
Yep.
he's like Chuck.
So we do have the FVS2 board, so Frank Victor Sam -2 board, and I don't know if I have it in. I was like looking
You
over
don't
my
have one?
repeater. Well, I have it. Hang on a second here.
Give
No, I
him
don't
2
think I
days.
have one in there.
Ahead, man.
But I have it in my other repeater. But what it does when you put it in there, it does do speech. So it'd be like, we'll say VFO, memory, and then when you enter stuff on the keypad, it will do that basic kind of description on there for you. Someone asked one time, hey, like on the 510 with APRS, will that board read out the data? No, it won't read out the data on there, but it does have that functionality with the FVS2 board for just that kind of circumstance and situation.
All right.
Will that go into the radios?
Yeah, that goes into the 510, 500.
Okay.
It's actually been out. Oh, God, how long has it been? 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 510, and the 150.
So several years, 3 or 4 years at least.
Yep.
I don't know how old the 400 is.
Yep.
The 100
Jim,
is
what's the-
probably the oldest one, right?
The 400 is the oldest. That came out when we introduced Fusion in 2013. And then the 100 came out 2015-ish. I think it was 2014-ish.
I don't even remember that one.
I thought the 100 was the older one, but I don't.
Nope.
Okay.
The 400D was the first one that got introduced when Fusion was announced by Dennis Motzenbacher at the, I think it was the Tapper conference, or DCC. I'm not sure what they would call it back then, but when they did that one up in Washington, they went along, and the first 2 radios that came out were the FTX-1D handheld, which I actually still have one, and the FTM 400, and then we came out with the FTM 100D. Then we came out with the FTX or FT1 XD and the FTM 400 XD.
Yeah,
and that basically gave an increase. Yeah, that gave a 66 GPS channel chip and better acquiring software, firmware updates that we needed to do in there. And then we came out with, we came out with the FT2 then. Then we came out with the FTM 3200, which is VHF Fusion only. The FTM 3207, which was UHF Fusion only. Then we came out with the FTM 7250, which was dual band, single display, Fusion only. And those looked a lot like the 3165. They actually used the same frame. I mean, it literally, you couldn't really tell the difference between this and that Fusion radios. Then we came out with the FTM 300, then the 200, then the 500, and then the 510 for mobiles. Oh, and then in that time, we also came out with the FT70. That was around 2017. And then we came out with the FT3, and then now we have the FT5.
So is there a new handheld coming? A new HT? An FT7D?
Well, we do have things in the works right now. We've obviously been releasing a lot of things lately. Over the last 5 years, we actually sat down and took a look at everything that's come out, and it really kind of blows people's minds away, like what we've been doing even through kind of COVID on there. So we do have some things in research and development right now. We are looking at the new Fusion line radios on there. The biggest thing that's really hurt us a lot lately, that's really slowed down some research and development, as well as trying to get some of our current models produced on there, is just this whole world with the component things. You got people that there's not even tariffs out there for some of the places where we source some of our components, but the price just went up because everybody thinks you can go ahead and increase pricing
and blame it on tariffs. Yeah.
And blame it on tariffs. We have it, and it's no hiding. We actually had to, unfortunately, increase our products due to a lot of component availability, not so much as tariffs. That did play a little bit into it, but not as much as people actually think about it. But believe it or not, that was the first time that we've actually increased our prices in over 12 years.
If you do make a FT7D, could you take the speaker from the FT70 and put it into the 7D?
What's wrong with it? You don't like the speaker?
The 70 sounds fantastic. Right. It's got a bigger speaker. It has Christopher audio. The 5D is slightly tinny sounding.
It can. The 5D also does have a little bit of that audio adjustments on there too, so that's it kind of plays a little bit into there. But I'm just going to say, with the way we're doing things with the VHF UHF product line, I don't have any sort of knowledge that I could speak of publicly or anything. But just as you saw kind of what we did with our HF lines, I think you're going to start to see some evolution of some different types of applications on how to make radios robust and across all things on there. If it's an FM capable radio, why not make FM just as robust as digital?
Now, that'd be awesome. And I love the 70. My favorite HT.
You guys need to come out with an analog, so it doesn't need to be digital, HT that has a Bluetooth microphone or Bluetooth that's Bluetooth, and it has a Bluetooth push to talk to button that the guys in motorcycles could use for their helmets, because that would sell, especially if it's not super expensive. I mean, like a 70s, like a FT70 60 price range.
It's different. We've talked about that, and I know I've talked to numerous people about that. It's like, why aren't you using 82P and those kind of control things? Really, our Bluetooth is just nothing more than an audio route, is really what it is. I don't know if they're going to look more into doing more sort of that control on there, because it's kind of one of those things where, if you think about it, like Bluetooth has, I forgot how many protocols. What are we up to? We're like 5.0.
It's like 5, 6, 7 profiles. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of where it gets into us is like, well, how much do you put into it? How much is it going to be used? A lot of the factors come into it. I don't know where it's going to go. I know we've had people have requested that, but then also too is I know we've had a lot of people that have said, I bought this external dongle that they plug into the side of it and they use it from there, and they're like, that's good enough for me. They'd rather keep the cost of the radio down.
The problem with that, I'm going to do a video on that for people, because I was asked to, a couple guys asked me on my last video, and the problem is that now you've got your radio you have to charge, you've got your dongle you have to charge, and now you have your push to talk to charge. Now the 3A, and I'm sure the 5 or the 3 and the 5 will both do this. They'll hook to your headsets and your motorcycles. Like I have a Carta Pack Talk.
Correct. Yep.
But you have to use a push to talk button, which is not a bad thing, because mine's mounted up on the handlebars anyhow. I've got one that's hooked to my brake lever. I just replaced the brake lever cap, and it has a push to talk button in it, so that works. And then John was schooling me a little the other day when we talked about how to charge it, because charging, I don't want to have to carry this with me on my motorcycle, because spaces, and I don't have a lot of space, right? So I don't want to carry this. But John told me how to fix that, and Ape has a video on that on the FT70 on how to charge your.
Yeah, and see, and we've kind of kept that too, because a lot of people said, when are you going to do USB-C? When are you going to do this and this? If you actually take a look, what we have for charging accessories currently, which is the SDD13, which is a cigarette lighter plug, and then we have the EDC6, which is basically just a plug with bare leads on there. That goes back all the way to technically goes all the way back to the FT60, which, by the way, is still in production. So you can power your FT60 with that. You can power your VX6 with it. You can power your FT70, the FT1, 2, 3, 5. It's all that same plug on there. And when you connect it to 12-volt source, you can not only power the radio with it, but you can also charge the battery. So when it's plugged in with those devices, you can pull that battery off and then let it go ahead and run the radio itself without the battery on and give you the full 5 watts.
Yeah, so Chuck, you can just take a barrel connector. I might have them. I know I do. If you find it, and it's going to be the problem. And then just make a cigarette lighter port, and then you could charge it.
I forgot about that. So I remember you doing that now.
The 12-foot, the 12-volt.
What's John? This is not for the Yaesu, but this is for like a Kenwood style. So this is the Bluetooth part.
Yep.
And it comes with this. This is your push to talk button. But you have to charge both of those, and I don't know how long they last. My buddy, his ran. Yeah, it's called a walkie-talkie Bluetooth headset. Is what they call it. But it works. It actually works. But like I said, now you've got the radio and these two things to charge. I guess if Yaesu made a push to talk, you'd probably have to charge it too. So maybe the Yaesu's. My only problem with the Yaesu is that's an expensive radio to put on my handlebars, and on my street bike. I mean, usually, you usually don't, but on a dirt bike, there's possibility I go down a few times.
I'm just
It's
saying,
kind
though,
of protected though.
Well, we have the FT4X,
4X, right?
We have the FT65R, we have the FT60, we have the VX6, we have
Right.
the
I've got most of
FT70, we have
those.
the FT5. So, Chuck, we're throwing you a bone here, man.
Put one of them damn radios on the bike, Charles.
I haven't seen one of those. Like, I
you
haven't
put it
seen
on
one
the
of those
side
for
of the
Yaesu.
helmet?
Just duct tape it up there. People will think you're.
Oh, I saw
Crazy.
something the other day that's pretty cool. It's an actual brake light on your helmet, and when your motion stops, the light comes on. It's all automatic. No buttons, no nothing. You just
It uses
attach it
Bluetooth to the helmet.
Oh my!
It's not
goodness.
Bluetooth. Okay, well, yeah. I mean, I know how to do it that way, John.
Nerd.
So,
The-
is
the-
Chuck decided
the
on a
three-
radio that he's going to get for this truck of his, or what?
Me? I don't know.
Yeah.
I like the
Wasn't that the whole
150
premise behind the show?
because
We
I
said
don't
we're gonna-
want to spend 510 money. What's the difference? Like $200, $300
Well,
difference?
spend 150 money.
Yeah, you're talking about 200-300. But once again, and that's what a lot of people's like, well, what's the difference between 150 and the 510? Well, it's like, once again, digital, APRS, touchscreen, so you have that kind of features on there, and yeah, that's going to equate to a couple $100 and maybe even a little more depending on what else you might want to get with it on there. I tell people, hands down, and this is what I do. I said, if you want an analog radio that's dual band, dual receive, you can do WinLink, you can do POXAG, you can do data, you can do that on there. Remote head, nice style too, because there's a little features in the 150. Let me just put it that way. So like, okay, cool. I have it as the white display. Well, maybe my eyes, I don't really want the white display, and you can go ahead and change it. Now it is the amber display. And
That's what I like.
it's just little features in this radio that you don't think about, but then you're like, well, what am I getting for the value of the money? And then all of a sudden you find out it's like, wow, this radio really has it. Do that for your analog usage. If you want APRS, if you want digital, you want touchscreen, you want a more interactive, like bells and whistles, then go with the 510. If you're an off-roader, if you're north of, as we joke around Wisconsin, north of Highway 8 and stuff, go ahead and buy the 3185. This was really designed for the rugged environment, unlike the other ones, for example, because there's no mic jack on the front. It's on the bottom. So when this is a dash mount thing, you can hang it here and the mic will come out of there. And we have so many people that will just mount this in a runk and bunk radio that, I even go to shows. If people ever see me at shows, I actually take this radio, hold it about like my chest height, standing, drop it, pick it up, plug it back in and use it. That's how
But dropping on the
thing
couch don't mean nothing. You're dropping on the couch.
Is the
No, at the
2980? Was it 2980? Was the?
That's what I have.
Is that,
Yeah,
is that discontinued?
Yeah, that got replaced by the 3185.
Okay, and then my next question was: is the 6000 though is still out there? You're not getting rid of it.
No, the 6000 is done also too.
Is it?
Yeah, that was once again that kind of fell into that same category of the 200 and the 300, where a lot of the components were shared across the board. And once again, it just got to the point of like, how can we get the components and keep it at a cost-effective radio? Another thing too that I always do point out to people is, remember, we offer a 3-year warranty, so we want to make sure that we can support a radio. So if you buy a radio today, we have to make sure for the next 3 years at a minimum, under your warranty, we have to support it. But then we go along a lot further beyond it. Another good case example, which a lot of people, they say, oh, I didn't realize that. The FT897D ended production 2014. It was only within the last year that we ended support for it. So we had a radio that we were supporting for 10 years beyond production. So that's where a lot of our decisions come into. It's like, well, do we run the radio out until we're out of components and scramble at the end to go ahead and find it? Or do we saying, hey, we know how many radios are out there in the market and we know there's a lot of this. We should probably end production sooner than later in order to make sure we can support these radios.
And the radios, I mean, the thing is that these things do last forever. Like I've had the 7900 in my Jeep for like 8 years.
Mhm.
And then I've had this for 10 years. I have the 2900. And it's just like it was when I bought it.
I still have my 8800. Jim liked the sound of it. I had put it in my motorhome one day using it on a CB antenna. It was just pulling these two guys in.
You were playing like slow jam
super
on
clear.
there. You and Jim were hanging out, right?
No, I posted it to you guys. It's when I put that in the motor. I still need an antenna on my motorhome.
We were not, Chuck and I, let me make this clear.
We
were
weren't
not
in this
hanging out.
motorhome together. No.
No.
It was
I've shared a
video.
cabin with T.O. I ain't shared nothing. Well, I have shared a hotel room with Chuck too, damn it.
Yeah.
That's when you were listening to the slow jam.
We had on some
Slow jam,
Eagles,
right.
a little bit of Lou Rawls. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you actually like the 90 watt just because of the power, right?
I like the 3185. Like I said, 3185, we have a lot of people. And once again, northern Wisconsin, there aren't as many repeaters, obviously, as your bigger cities and stuff. And there's a lot of simplex activity that takes place. And I mean, once again, do the math. I mean, hook it up and put a 3 dB gain antenna on there, or you get really the gung-ho and get a 9 dB on VHF or something like that. It's going to go ahead and it's going to play for miles upon miles upon miles. And that just is, something that people want. And I agree. The 3165 is used by a lot of people, believe it or not, in Canada. We have a lot of people that have purchased that radio, put it in their front-facing fire speaker, all that kind of jazz, can fit into smaller, newer vehicles on there. And it's just a powerhouse. As a matter of fact, it was on an episode of Ice Road Truckers I watched one time that they actually had a FTM 3100, which was the predecessor to the 3165. They actually had it in their cab of their semi, and I thought that was kind of hilarious.
Hayden's asking about a quad bender to replace the 8900.
That probably won't ever happen.
Yeah, probably not going to happen. It's
He's pining.
6 and 10. Well, 6 and 10 back in the day used to be really amazing for repeaters and stuff. But as things have progressed, 6 and 10 are just so much associated with HF. I know over where I live, there's one. Well, I take that back. 2 6-meter repeaters between let's call it a 500 square mile area, and one of them
there's none down here as far as I know.
It's fallen off. So. Back in the day, that was when repeaters were the big thing. That was the greatest thing. But it's just kind of like we don't see it too much. And
No.
to be honest with you,
Just get an Optima.
when we're
He's breaking up. He's breaking up.
including it in the other radios, now it's kind of like
Booty in the other radios.
I
What
went
did
away.
you say? I think
you
you're
were
back.
breaking
Are
up.
you back?
I went back. I was obviously someone tried to interfere from a different manufacturer.
Totally. That's it.
He's on next week. No, I'm just joking. So yeah, I'm with Ape, man. If it's like you guys, I know you guys don't want to say it. Well, we're not talking about those radios, but if like Ape said, just get the other radio that does all that stuff.
Yeah, and it really comes down to personal preference. Like I said, a lot of people will do the 510 because they want, C4FM. They want that digital voice quality on there. They want APRS. They want something that radio really per se has to them and stuff. And for that, it's great, go with that. But then we tell people, if you don't need the bells and whistles, it's kind of a preference. And I mean, that's like example why I listed all the handhelds. That's why we have the whole wide variety of handhelds, because some people just want an inexpensive handheld. Some people want a submersible handheld, all those kind of things. And we kind of just try to do it that way. But, we're not going to please everybody, but we figure if we have options, then you have options.
So, well, I have options because if I have a 150 and I already have the 500, I can I can switch those radios out really easy with your guys' brackets. In fact, I don't want to say it out loud, but I mean, I could have
You're
just brought a
going to,
bracket.
right?
I could have just brought a bracket and run my 500 over to whatever vehicle I want. Just buy brackets for each vehicle.
And
that
but I know
bracket
what'll
is cool.
But I
That
know
bracket
what'll
is
but I
cool.
know what'll happen is I'll get ready to go someplace and I'll be down the road and like, oh shoot, I forgot to bring my radio, so I'm not going to do that.
But I suggest you buy a radio for each vehicle. That's definitely the company model. But we also do have people in the same situation as you, where hey, I'm in the wife's car today, I'm on my own car. They do buy that extra mounting bracket. They do buy that the extension head cable. They run that in there, and then all they have to do is, and of course, a DC cable, and then that's what they're doing is just take the body and the head, and they're good to go.
That would actually be good for the wife's vehicle because she doesn't want it in there all the time. So I could just.
I'm not allowed to put anything in my wife's vehicle.
I don't blame her. I've seen your mounting stuff before, so.
I actually, when I run with mine, I actually have an old
dash.
I have an old EMS Thomas pack, and I actually put my 510, or I kind of have it laid out, my 510 or my 150, and then I have some other radios and scanning devices that fit into the bag too. So like when I have the rental car, I just throw the bag in the back, connect it to power, connect it to the antennas, and I'm good to go. And this fits perfectly because then all I have to do is just put the mounting bracket. So I just take the head and the radio, and I'm good to go.
Right.
The only problem I have with like the 2980, I originally bought that to throw on my 4Runner, but then a friend of mine brought to my attention that in California we've got a really good repeater system, and most of those where I can do the whole state if I want to on repeaters. And I think it goes into Oregon, it might go into Nevada, maybe even a little bit of Arizona, but most of those are on 440. They're on 70. So.
Is that a new thing, Chuck, though? Or were they always on 70? Or
they have some 2 meter, and I don't know if I think, but wouldn't you have to hit that 2 meter one? The 70s are pretty easy to hit because they're everywhere, and I don't know why that is.
Better range on my 2 meter than I do my 70.
You will, and we take a look at a lot of this, like where does that come from? Because we're always trying to see the market, trying to see what people want, and that's why we actually have, because I thought maybe I saw it in chat, like, well, why don't you have a UHF version of the 3185 and the 3165? To be perfectly honest with you, the UHF band has really exploded to be the repeater or the hotspot world, right? It's VHF that still has some repeaters, but then they also have a lot of simplex usage. And I don't know if it's, technically in the UHF, we have more spectrum in the US at least, right? 4 megahertz compared to, technically if we go down to 420, you have 30 megahertz, right? But it always seems to be that way. And the only thing that we can see the reason being is because of the proliferation of digital voice, of all the digital voice. Let's face it, all your commercial stuff that you have, like your P25s, which I'm a fan of, your DMR, which I played with, and then your other stuff on there, that's where a lot of those, that's where they sell the most on there, right? You don't hear about DMR or P25 and VHF for public safety, but not really like it is, not a lot of repeater activity for the amateur world. It's all there. So I think that's why you have a lot of the repeater networks and stuff. And for then the rest of the world, it's like, sit on 5.2, or like me, I actually use more of simplex in the 147 range than anything because it's so underutilized.
Yeah, when the 146, 520, and 580 in California is real popular for a lot of the soda guys, and I did get that radio because of the range, like you're talking about. It has, anytime you put more power, but I can do that also because I have a little Mirage amp if I want to bring it, if I had to. I never do, but I could do that also. I think it's 30 in, 150 out or something like that.
Yeah, it's up in, like I said, once again, I'm in Wisconsin, if people aren't aware, but people do that with a lot of the quads, like the UTV quads and the so people are getting away more of the ATVs that's kind of going by the sides. They like the 2-seaters and the 4-seaters. I've thought about doing trail riding myself. What kind of cool thing would that be? Like a dune buggy in the woods. But what people do though is that they go get those 5/8 wave antennas. They slap this radio in there. they may change things in the radio, and that's all I'm legally to say. And then they have radios that are going 100 watts for miles upon miles.
Right.
Having
I
a good old
haven't
time.
tried a 5/8 wave antenna. I just use the half wave usually on mine.
Well, that's what I have on my cars. My Jeep is the 5/8 wave.
Do you?
Yeah.
The problem is like on my 4Runner, even the half, just because I have it on the roof, it was just banging everything, trees and stuff, because it's tall to start with, right?
Yeah, I sweat when I go into parking garages. It's
Yeah.
definitely
Well, you sweat anyhow, but I mean,
I sweat more when I go into
more.
parking garages. But I can fold it down. Yeah,
You sweat more when you see government license plates on the car behind you.
I do.
Yeah.
black
That's why I only look
Suburban.
forward, son.
I
Black
I
Suburbans.
personally like the what is it? The Comet SXRS
have that
SARX2 or whatever.
SBB5.
SBB5, yeah.
Is it it's
Well,
it's
that's
the
the one we got. I've got a 3 because I broke my 5 because I went in the parking garage too hot.
Anyway,
So I replaced it with a 3, which clears the parking garage just barely.
how about a 102-inch whip, man? Would that work? Get that thing dialed in.
Yeah, I don't
Really,
do 27 megahertz, man. No.
Missing out, son.
No,
It's
I'm not.
It's got to be so many waves on 2
It's
meters.
just as shitty today as it was back in the 70s.
Hey, we got FM now though.
You got to get peaked and tuned, son.
Yeah, whatever. Boys,
Yeah.
I got to go.
Get some swing.
I got to go
Take a
pick up the
swing.
kids. So,
Your
At the
program's
beach.
coming on, is what you mean?
Lake.
no, I got to go pick up my daughter
Cool.
from her volleyball practice.
All right. Well, good luck,
Oh,
man.
hey.
Well, John, anything you want to add? Jim's leaving, so
I know Jim's leaving. Jim, I will see you down there. And
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
I feel your pain for your daughter's volleyball because I coached a 7th grade girls team last year, so that's why I
she's on
have no hair.
She's on a travel team now, so it's
oh,
like
that's even more. That's
Our
more.
tryouts are
Ching.
Sunday. But
Good luck.
anyways, I will be at Huntsville. If you're around Huntsville, come on down.
I'll hit
Say
you up.
hi. And I got to do a shameless plug. We do our podcast, which we also do our simulcast of the video of it on our YouTube channel. Release it on Friday. And I'm just going to say this. I think people should tune in to listen to this week's episode because I am going to talk about an accessory that you buy and a little dongle for that's going to really make you enjoy your FTM 150 and your FTM 510 in your house.
Oh boy.
You're gonna have to tell me that when we get off.
I sure will.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody being here tonight. Had a good, nice crowd tonight.
thanks,
every time
everybody.
John's on, we have a big crowd.
I think so. Thank you for everybody coming in. And like I said, if you're in Huntsville, stop by, say hi, or hit us up on social media or whatever.
And John will be on one of the shows here sooner or later on other stuff. It just being John Kruk, not John Kruk from Yaesu. So stay tuned for that, everybody. So
All right.
with that, we are going to end the